It's been 23 years, and I can still smell the bleach that the young men used to frost their tips. Oh, their hair was so high and spiky. The CDs have never been scratched. The cargo pants were very, very wide. And when you wanted to take your picture with your phone, and believe me, back then we did have phones, we had to flip it open, and I can't take a selfie like this. I have to turn it around and take it like this. The early 2000s was called the era of liquid metal dreams, and it was. It really was. My name is Teresa, and this is Cyber Y2K. So back in the early 2000s, whenever I was in a social situation and I had one of these flip phones, I would constantly be staring at it, just staring at the screen, pressing buttons. But I didn't have a texting plan because that was separate, or you had to pay by the word or the minute or something. So I would just constantly be looking at it as if I'm doing something really important on my phone, but I'm just pressing numbers. This just made me feel very important when I flipped it open, like I'm some kind of stockbroker. Cyber Y2K or cybercore Y2K. I kind of want to say cyberpunk Y2K, futuristic Y2K, a niche of the early 2000s fashion that is making a huge comeback right now, has come back. And speaking as an elder millennial who grew up in the early 2000s and went to high school and participated in all the fashion elements of Y2K, seeing this style come back, seeing the early 2000s fashion in general come back, it makes me feel old. In my mind, I'm still in high school. It was just yesterday, maybe it was 3 weeks ago. I'm still in college. I blink and all of a sudden, it's been 23 years. It's been 23 years. This is what it feels like to see your life pass you by, embark on a midlife crisis in front of YouTube. As a living witness and participant of the actual early 2000s fashion, I have never seen cyber Y2K in person back then. But it could be because I grew up in a warm Mediterranean climate, wearing head to toe pleather, wearing latex, wearing metallic jackets, futuristic sunglasses. You would get real sweaty real quick. This fashion aesthetic, as we know now, harkens back to futuristic fashions of the early 2000s. So in the early 2000s, we're assuming we wanted to dress as if we're 20 years into the future. And now we're 20 years into the future and we're dressed like we're 20 years into the past. We're dressed like people from the actual Y2K's perception of what people would dress 20 years into the future. But because we're nostalgic for the fashions of 20 years into the past, we're actually dressed exactly how people from 20 years ago predicted that people would dress 20 years into the future. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's gonna be a lot of memories here because I came of age in the early 2000s. I was there to personally witness the coining of the Y2K phrase, the Y2K bug, the Y2K glitch, the millennium bug. When we were switching over the calendar year from 1999 to the early 2000s, and everybody, especially people on the news, but not so much people in real life, was freaked out that computers weren't smart enough to change the first 2 digits of the calendar year from 19 to 20. The year 2000 would become the year 1900 and mess everything up, but that didn't happen. The new year changed from 1999 to 2000 without a glitch. That's where we got our name. Cyber Y2K harkens back to the entire technological vibe of the early 2000s, the graphic design, the early GeoCity Angel Fire websites, the old new tech. The tech back then, the graphic design at the time had a lot of blobby characteristic, the T1000 liquid metal metallic blob. If I were a time traveler and I went back to the year 2000 dressed like cyber Y2K, I pulled up my tech wear, I pick up a metallic jacket, I pick up a crop top with a peekaboo slash right here and pair it with some low-rise baggy metallic cargo pants, some futuristic matrix shades, and put my hair up in a spiky bun, in a wet spiky bun. If I were to time travel from the year 2023 to the year 2000 and met my past self, 2000s Teresa would think the future Teresa came came out of a music video. I never thought I'd see the day that cargo pants would come back. Now everybody is dressed like I was in the early 2000s, and that is freaking me out. I also bought a pair of cargo pants recently. It occurred to me that I'm dressed like I was in high school, but they're not as baggy as they were before. You want your cargo pants is low rise, because that is the rise of choice in the early 2000s. You have that silhouette, very thin up top and then wide, voluminous pants on the bottom. It's like you're a genie in a bottle. So we're sticking to the futuristic side of the Y2K aesthetic. We want to look like we're a pop star in a music video. Okay, we want to draw inspiration from The Matrix. We want to draw inspiration from Euro EDM music videos like Sandstorm or Above and Beyond or Armin van Buuren or the German movie Run Lola Run, which I think has a lot of EDM in its soundtrack. I've only watched it once, and the one time I watched it, I thought it was super cool. Pleather, metallics, latex, sleek, iridescent sunglasses, the sleek metallic Oakleys, the rimless Morpheus sunglasses. For men, you get out your hair gel and you spike up your hair. Whether you want to do frosted tips or not is up to you, or dye your hair blue. Frosted blue tips, that's something. You want to look like Mark McGrath's hair. You know, Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. And for ladies, you either have short, very slicked back hair like Trinity in The Matrix, or a wet spiky bun or spiky double bun. I think of Cyber Y2K as something very dystopian. You're hackers in a futuristic dystopian world. So there's a lot of man-made materials, latex, mesh, tops, mesh clothing, big black platform boots. It's for kicking down doors, skin tight mesh top over a cropped spaghetti strap tank top. You are no stranger to tattoos, so you would have some kind of tramp stamp, but it would be in Japanese characters because the cyberpunk futuristic look is always in association with Japan. Ever since Blade Runner, Tokyo has been associated with futuristic cyberpunk worlds. Or you would have like a giant dragon all along your back, and its tail would snake up to your belly, and then you would also have a belly button piercing. It just goes, you need to have some kind of tattoo or piercing because you have a lot of midriff exposed. You either have the crop top that has that slash across the boob, you layer on a mesh top, or you have like a shrug. There's this kid I knew since 4th grade, and he had hair like Dennis the Menace. It was like gelled but parted at the side, 50s boy hair. And then suddenly, one day in 8th grade, he came back and he had the longest spikes I've ever seen. His spikes were not all frosted. They were his original hair color, but he had one frosted spike. So that's a hairstyle. Or sometimes when you don't want to spike all your hair, you gel all your hair back and then you leave one strand of hair over your face. And that one strand of hair is frosted. Or I see a lot of boys back then, they wouldn't use real bleach, by the way. They wouldn't go to like a hairdresser. I don't know if their parents would even let them. This is like under the table frosting of one's tips. Nowadays I see boys with that broccoli hairstyle where it's curly on top and kind of shaved down there, and I think they go to a hairdresser. I think it's like all done. There's money involved. Back then it was very homemade. People risked their hair follicles. People risked getting bleach in their eyes. So what was my point? Incidentally, if you ever wonder what my hair looked like back then, it's basically the same hair as I have now. Other than the accidental pixie cut, I had my hair like this. This is my hair. I even think I had a side part even back then. From what I've seen, this aesthetic is more of a cold weather aesthetic. It's a city aesthetic. It's a New York City aesthetic. It's a Paris aesthetic. Berlin, definitely. So we've established that the early 2000s loves volume. You want volume beneath the equator. You want a wide leg cargo pants, parachute cargo pants, a cargo skirt. Now we're in business. And then we also have the cargo pants with the scrunchy hem, and then you pair that with a pair of combat boots, actual moon boots, puffer boots, or you can even mix a little bit of that that early 2000s skater vibe. Big, clompin' skater shoes, like the Osiris D3s. Mix that in with your big baggy cargo pants, and it would help if the pockets on the side of your legs, if they're serious pockets. We're talking about utility here. So we want serious pockets. We don't want shallow pockets or pockets that is just there for decor, kind of like the McMansion of pockets where they don't really serve any purpose and you slip your hand in there and there's actually no pocket. Fake facade pockets, we don't want that. These are utilitarian pockets and we need to have them function for us. We need to be able to put this cell phone in our pocket. Your everyday carry, instead of carrying a bag, you slip them in your cargo pockets. But because we're not in the actual early 2000s, we gotta carry a bag. And the bags I've seen people carry are mostly the messenger sling bags. You know, you got that Belroy City Sling. But one thing I see in streetwear is like a full chest harness. You know, I don't recall anyone wearing a chest harness in the early 2000s, but we'll go with it. That adds extra pockets. So not only do you have pockets at your leg, but you also have pockets in your chest harness, probably like tons of pockets, 20 pockets. You have like a black tactical vest with about 20 hidden pockets. And it's probably RFID blocking as well. It's probably bulletproof as well. So, you know, you're ready for battle. Because apparently in the dystopian future, we have to contend with warfare, with warcore. So we've established that cyber Y2K is more so a city look than a suburban look or a country look. It's a cold weather look because you are wearing a lot of stuff. It favors volume, sometimes volume upon volume. Ideally, this outfit is either all black or all white. My heart is going to all black. So you got all black, baggy cargo pants, utilitarian with serious pockets, no fake facade pockets for decor. You gotta be able to put like a small baby in your pocket. Actually, I don't know why I said that you have to put a baby in a pocket. I mean, who does that? You could put a little toy dog in there too. You could put a little chihuahua. And you fit a corgi in your cargo pockets. Like a Shih Tzu. Is there a dog out there called a Shih Tzu? Shih Tzu. I'm going on 3 days with no sleep, so I really can't think of what that dog with the little bow on its head. Shih Tzu? A bucket hat, because early 2000s bucket hats were in. I don't know how this bucket hat contributes to your cool, don't mess with me vibe. And then you want to add like a big puffer coat. You see the AI generated Balenciaga Pope white puffer coat? Add one of those. You want distressed clothes, distressed sweater. I remember in the Matrix, when they're out of the Matrix, when they've been plugged out of the Matrix and they're in their ship or something, everyone's clothes was pretty distressed. There's holes in the clothes, there's tears, there's rips. Everybody is just going off one item of clothing in the dystopian future. Silver metallic nails, silver nail art with computer chips. As for makeup, I want to direct you to Hackers, 1995. So I direct you to Angelina Jolie's makeup. It's kind of like a frosty makeup, frosty eyeshadow, frosty lips, like pale lavender frosty lips. So frosty was a trend, frosted tips, you got frosted makeup. While we're into this future nostalgia, I'm just going to describe certain outfits that I think would work but doesn't really exist. Like if I were a fashion designer, if somehow I created my own label called like the House of Teresa and somehow it was inducted into the Parisian Couture Hall of Fame, and I specialized in cyber Y2K, cyberpunk tech wear, this is what I would do. So let's say we collect like 5 mechanical keyboards. We buy them off Amazon. They're the cheapest mechanical keyboards you could find. The keys are black. They have an LED RGB light up thing going on. You take about 5 of these keyboards and you line them up. And then you take a hammer and then you start smashing up the keyboards until the keys start popping off. There's probably an easier way to do this. You could probably just unscrew it and then take the keys off. You don't need to get all dramatic and start hammering mechanical keyboards. But drama is what I do. And you take these keyboard keys and you take an all black outfit, just a simple normcore all black outfit. You could have that Steve Jobs turtleneck, pair it with some black parachute cargo pants with a serious pockets. You take these keyboard keys and then you just glue it all over yourself. It's like the mechanical keyboard alphabet suit all over your body. And then somehow you still manage to wire up all these keys to a battery pack that looks like a cell phone. and you put that in your cargo pocket, and then you turn it on and your whole body lights up like a rainbow. Like, why am I not a high-end fashion designer? I don't know. Obviously, you have to wear a face mask in this because in the future, there are viruses. In the future, there are flesh-eating, brain-rotten bacteria, like in The Last of Us. So you gotta put on a face mask, but it just can't be the face mask that we've been used to wearing within the past 3 years. It has to be black and it has to be cool. It might have respirators coming out of the side. It could be tessellated, it could be lit up. So you want one of those. Like, you want to just kind of disguise your identity, because I don't know what you're doing in the future, but things are probably getting a little desperate here. So you might be looting, could be doing some parkour on some abandoned buildings. A lot of the graphic designs that I see incorporated in this new Y2K revival is holographic, rainbow gradients, and that's all derived from nostalgia for the backs of CDs. And I'm sure there's somewhere out there's somebody with a 100 CD collection. You could buy CDs cheap. You could buy CDs used for the price of a song. You take an overcoat, just a simple black overcoat, and you take some of these CDs and then you break them. You take your sledgehammer that you use to break up that mechanical keyboard, and then you smash these CDs until they're nothing but shards. And then you take these shards and you kind of piece them together over your coat. So this is a very DIY-centric, high fashion thing that I'm doing here. That's what I do in the house of Teresa. Dystopian tech destruction. So you piece them together, and then now your coat is comprised of the backs of CDs, and you're this like giant mirror. It's a dystopian future, so obviously you've gotta plunder. In order to survive, you gotta like plunder material. You gotta go around stealing copper pipes and hot wiring cars. That's why you need all these pockets. That's why you need these cargo pants. That's why you need this harness. You got a lot of places. You gotta stash that beef jerky somewhere. You gotta stash those copper wires that you that you ripped out of somebody's car. Where do you find copper wires, guys? In the house of Teresa Fashion Design, you wear these copper pipes. I'll have some pliers, some soldering equipment. I'll take these looted copper pipes my scavengers have given me. I'll walk around the mannequin. The genius is at work here, and I'll have my assistants who know how to use these tools. I'll have them sculpt like a dress, and the dress would kind of look like Marie Antoinette's dress, but it's all out of copper, and the dress would be called Lucky Penny. So Rick Owens, step aside. Just gotta have the vision, and believe me, I have some vision. Okay, guys, I foresee a dress where you have the green graphics of the Matrix. You're wearing it. Have some like special material where I could broadcast the data harvested graphics of the Matrix. And you know in the Matrix, when you're plugged in through that really uncomfortable plug, the back of your skull, and then through your back, like tentacles, like Doc Ock tentacles, I can foresee an outfit that incorporates that. Like you're wearing all black, and then you have these like tentacles coming out of the back of your head and your back. Okay guys, there's a stop sign. I'll commission like one of my scavengers, and they'll take it, they'll steal it. And where would they put it? They don't even need backpacks here. They have like one of my giant puffers. You conceal it that way. All my thieves and scavengers are wearing giant puffers, so you can just see a stop sign and just take it, stuff it inside, and they'll bring it to me. They'll bring me a lot of like reflective signs, right? A lot of reflective construction signs, and I'll take these signs and I'll bang on it with my hammer. And I also have like this soldering helmet. There's deadly nuclear fallout, and we all have to wear face shields, but we have to look fashionable while wearing it. I'll make a dress out of a stop sign. Imagine a model wearing an all black leotard. Looks pretty normal, right? And then I'll just take the stop sign, just strap it onto her back like a turtle shell. Well, I really got off track here with my dreams.